So people who are not going to be able to be here now, they'll be able to listen to the recording if they want to, or watch it. Okay. So the first thing really, when I spoke to Donna this morning, you can see Donna there, and well, I tried to. Her reception was quite bad. You wandered all around the garden trying to find somewhere, but her story was quite good because it really illustrated how there is no one size fits all. You know, the problem is, you know, you put a message on a Facebook group and you've got 100 different answers. This is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do, because everybody's circumstances, like Donna's circumstances, were really quite unique. I mean, the thing is, what we've got people who've got children, people who've got babies, we've got people who don't want their dogs in the room, we've got people whose dogs don't like being in a pen or in a crate. You know, we've got so many variations of things. And there's one thing which seems to be fairly constant, though, from the people who I speak to and on the thing, is that they tend to wake up between 4:30 and 5:30 in the morning. That's what tends to happen. Anyway, I don't know. Can I tell your story, Donna, or would you like to do it? You can turn your thing on, because you might like to interrupt me. Right, now Donna's story is quite interesting because she lives, I mean, her bedroom's at the top of 3 on the 3rd floor. So her puppy wakes in the night and she's got to, well, about 5, it's 3 in the morning, isn't it, Donna?
It was last night, yeah.
And then so Donna in the middle of the night, has to walk down 3 flights of stairs carrying her puppy. Puppy's out. Okay, she comes back, and at that time, is that right? Puppy, is that right?
Yeah, he goes back into his bed, and then straight after his wee, he will sleep in his bed for probably about another hour and a half, but he doesn't really settle very well after his wee.
No. Well, it's been a long walk, hasn't he? And you've gone down 3 flights of stairs and back up again. You must be wide awake by then.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult, isn't it? And again, the thing is, there's no way that it's so difficult that he has such a long way to go, isn't it? And
yeah.
3 floors up. So I mean, that's quite a unique situation, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us your situation, Jodie? You'll have to unmute.
Yeah. No, so I'm unmuted. So I have a, what is he now? Nearly 13-week-old French bulldog. Goes to bed absolutely fine. We're a family that stay up quite late anyway. So sort of starts to sleep around 10ish. And then he normally goes out for his last wee around sort of 12:30. Then he will sleep normally till around sort of 4:30, anywhere between 4:30 and sort of 5:45. 5:45 is perfectly acceptable for me. I don't mind getting up then, but at 4:30 is not a good one. And I think for me the issue is at 4:30 I have that internal argument with myself about, do I do the battle of getting him back in his crate, up and down the stairs, getting him back to sleep, or do I sleep on the sofa? And at least then I will get another hour's rest.
Right. So, this is another component to all this, is that there are people who really don't want the dogs in their bed. Like you obviously don't. The fact you come down and it's on the sofa.
I think potentially when he's older, maybe. But at the moment, my worry would be that he would jump off the bed and he would potentially hurt himself.
Of course, yeah. Well, that's a thing, isn't it? Yeah. So, anybody else? Hi, Megan. Where do you live? What part of the world?
I live in Los Angeles.
Ah, right. I'm glad you got here. Tell us do you mind telling us what your story about night times is? How you're getting on?
Yeah, so Olaf, my dog's name is Olaf, and he's an Australian Labradoodle, and he loves to be really active at night, and then he wants to stay up, and he when he's really active, he gets really thirsty, and so I've tried cutting off his water at 8 p.m., but then he keeps going back to his water bowl and licking it even when it's empty, and I've taken it out of the holder for it, and he'll keep going back. So then I sometimes give it to him at 9 p.m., but then he usually wakes up around 1 crying, and I'm crate training him, so I put him in his crate and then just for sleeping. And I only use the crate for positive. So I always give him treats in there. I have a puzzle toy for food that I put some of his food in there. I never use it for punishment. So really trying to make the crate a safe, happy space. And he'll cry. And then if I don't take him out at 1:30, he pees in his crate.
Okay.
So then it's kind of
Does he cry when you first put him in his crate?
a little bit, but then he calms down.
How long does he cry for?
Maybe 10 minutes.
Okay. And then he goes to sleep?
Yes.
And he wakes up when?
At 1:30 in the morning.
Okay. And you take him to the toilet?
Yes.
Okay.
And
And he goes to sleep again after that or not?
yes. And then he usually sleeps until either 4:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. And then we go through the same thing again where he's crying. And when he wakes up at 1:30, I don't give him any more water. Then he wakes up at 4:30 or 5:30. And again, he's crying, has to go out. And I take him out and he does go. So like, I'm proud of him for always letting me know when he has to use the restroom rather than like peeing in his crate. But like, if I don't take him when he cries, he does.
Well, at least he's asking, how old is he? Did you say?
He's 11 weeks old today.
So it is very young, isn't it? I think some of us have quite unrealistic expectations of a puppy. I mean, some people are so lucky their puppies are sleeping through the moment they're in home, but it is very unusual. I think possibly, you know, if we have a baby, we expect that baby's going to wake us up every 3 or 4 hours almost, don't we? We expect it's going to happen to start with. But we don't expect it of a puppy. And I think some of it is about our own expectations, actually. What's your story, Dominique?
We've got a French bulldog called Winnie. She's 20 weeks now. We live in an apartment. So she's in the living room in her crate. We were trying to crate train her. She was going in and out in the day, free will, loving it. And then in the evening, she just didn't want to be on her own. So she'd cry. Unless she was completely exhausted, she would cry so much. We went into her. We didn't mind when she was really small staying in the living room with her because, you know, we've got a sofa right next to the crate. So she was happy with us. Then we started sneaking out the room, trying to trick her. But she's quite clever. I'm sure she sleeps with one eye open. And she started waking us up at 2 or 3, or around that time. And I knew not to engage with her. So I thought she might need to go for a pee. So I'd open the door. But what I noticed was she just wanted to stretch out and move to a different bed. So she just wanted the company and a different view, I think. So I abandoned the crate idea. So I left the door of the crate open so she could go in if she wants to. But basically, wherever she falls asleep at 10:30, normally in a little bed next to the crate or on the floor, we leave her. We try and sneak out the room because she can hear us in the room next door.
You can't sneak off, really, can you? Her hearing's too good.
And then she'll wake up again at 4 and she just wants to see us. She just wants to put a paw on us and then she's fine.
Right. Okay. I've got my thoughts on this. Julia, what about, I know you, but what's the stage now with your night times?
Hello.
Hello.
Eric is 25 weeks now, tomorrow. He's still a pain.
What about nighttime?
Nighttime, he sleeps anytime between 7:30 and 10:30. And he wakes up normally around 4 o'clock for a week.
Right.
And then he's happy to go back to his crate. But then he sleeps for another hour and a half max.
Right.
So recently we moved him downstairs about 2 weeks ago, and I'm sleeping on the sofa next to him.
Right.
And I tried to let him sleep with the crate door open, but he didn't know what to do with himself. He would just come in and out of the crate in the middle of the night.
Right.
So I started closing the crate door again.
Yes.
And now he's just biting me. Eric, stop. So now he go for a wee around 4, and then he sleep another hour and a half. But then he wants to come and sleep on the sofa with me, which if he comes, he can sleep another 4 hours easily. But if he's not, he wake up every half an hour to 1 hour.
It sounds like it's a bit of a shame he sleeps so well between 7 and 10, isn't it?
Yeah, but I try to get him to bed at 10. Sometimes he wake up at 4 as well. Last time he woke up at 2:30. He just went to bed at 10 and woke up 2:30.
The bottom line is, like all the puppies, what they really want is to be sleeping with us, don't they? That's what
Yes.
they really want.
If I slept with him on the sofa,
Yes.
he would sleep all night pretty
Yeah.
much.
And that's the bottom line, really.
But he just kick me. He just like to stretch when he's sleeping, and then he kicks me and I can't sleep and I get crazy.
No, okay. Right, I haven't missed anybody out, have I? Looking at the list of, I've printed it out when I asked people the question, really everybody's saying much the same thing. You know, you've got variations, you've got some people who don't mind puppy in the bed, but one of the things which makes things difficult is people who've got children. My own feeling is that if we could find what works and start from there. So, for instance, if having the puppy in your bed is what works, in a way, for me, unless there's a very good reason not to do it, it's almost worth starting there, because you get to your good night's sleep. Puppy feels very secure. He doesn't think you're going to be creeping out on him and all the rest of it, because once you've established something that's working, whether it or not it is on your bed or on the sofa, whatever it is, or maybe next to your bed, or whatever actually works well, I would say start there, because nothing is forever. Just because the puppy sleeps on the bed, say, and you think, well, I don't want my adult dog to sleep on the bed. It doesn't have to sleep on. You can gradually wean him away. I mean, you know, puppies do like to come and lie up next to you. Well, that you can, you know, after a few weeks of that, puppy can then learn that perhaps you have a bed of his next to your bed or by the bed. And gradually wean him away, and you know, by the time he's a few months old, he'll be downstairs if you work at it. The thing, Dominique's done it the other way around, haven't you? So what's happened now is, I think, a fairly typical of what happens when you leave your puppy to cry. Because puppies, if you leave them to cry, eventually they will give up. If that's what happens, used to happen with a lot of puppies. But I don't think it's any better for them than it is for your baby just to leave it crying for ages and ages. And it can't be good for his general security. So I think by the time a puppy gets to 5 months old, if you'd actually, I'm not picking on you, Dominic, but if you'd done it the other way around, by now you could have probably had him downstairs without having to creep out on him, if you see what I mean, because he won't be so special. He feels much more secure. But I know it is a really difficult problem. The other thing, of course, is puppy wakes you in the night or the early hours of the morning, which you want. In the daytime, you want him to ask you to tell you when he wants to go out. But of course, then you're reinforcing waking in the night, aren't you? So there we got your 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or whenever. Puppy wakes up and possibly doesn't really need to go to the toilet immediately, possibly just likes the idea of getting you out of bed. So I think one thing there is, if the puppy's fairly reliable on that early morning time, say, some of you say it's 3:30 or 3 o'clock and it seems to happen the same time every morning, I would preempt it. I'd maybe put your phone on vibrate or something for about half an hour, quarter of an hour before you know he's going to wake up, so that you preempt it and then take him out and come back. Because then you're not reinforcing being woken in the middle of the night by whines or scuffling or little barks or whatever he does. That actually seems to work quite well with people. So if you can preempt it, I know it sounds awful to have to wake yourself up at 2:30, but whatever time it is, if you do that for long enough, you can gradually he will stop expecting to have to make a fuss to get out. And then, you know, after a week of 2:30, you can start on 2:45, and then on 3 o'clock, and so on. Then you can move him forward until it more or less combines with then you're going to get up anyway. which probably have to be rather early, won't it, to start with? I mean, the only way you get a lie-in, as I think most of you found out, is to put the puppy in bed with you or on the sofa with you, whatever, isn't it? To do that. Oh dear. But I would say start with what works. With you, Millie, will you tell us how you're getting on again?
Yeah, of course. So we have Chester. He is 13 weeks and he's a cockapoo. We had him sleeping in our hallway, which was just right outside our bedroom, and he was waking about once a night and then waking up sort of 4:35, and he was barking, that because we're in an apartment similar to you, Dominique. The thing is, crying is easier, but barking, you know, we don't want to upset our neighbours, so we would always go to him if he was barking. And I spoke to Theo, and we do puppy classes as well near where we live, and the suggestion was, you know, go back to basics. So we had him in our bed for 2 nights. He did sleep through, but we had an even more worse night's sleep because he decided that he wanted to sleep on my partner's head. Every time we moved him down to the bottom, he'd be straight back up. But no, he slept through twice with us. I did the thing where I set the alarm, took him for a wee, because the problem was he was waking at 4:30 for a wee, and then it was light outside, and that's what was confusing him. So I take him for a wee about 3:30, he goes straight out, straight back in, and then sleeps through till about 5 now. But now we've started preempting, and so this morning we actually woke him up at 5:15, and we're going to carry on trying to do that. So now my partner slept 2 nights on the floor with him, so he's not on our bed, and then tonight we think we're gonna have him on the floor next to us on the bed. The only problem is our bed is really high off the ground, so I think he can't quite grasp the concept because he's so little that we're actually there. So I'll let you know how tonight goes. But our main issue is I know a lot of you are saying, you know, your puppy will go back to sleep at 5. He is up and ready for the day. He wants to eat, he wants to walk. So we do breakfast, then we go for a walk, and then he'll sleep from about 6 a.m. until maybe 8:30. Then he'll be up till 9, then he'll go back to sleep till 12. So
how old is he?
He's 13 weeks.
The thing about puppies, they tend to do things in small chunks, don't they? Their overall sleep is probably about 18, 19 or even 20 hours a day, but they don't do it in long runs.
Yeah. But I think the thing is, and I've discussed this with Theo, he wakes up so hungry, and the food that we're giving him, it's the same one that the breeder had. It's for puppies that are up to 10 kg, but obviously he's already 7 kg, so he's going to be much bigger than 10 kg. So I personally think his food needs switching, so I'm going to Pets at Home tomorrow to switch it, and then hopefully that might make him get really good quality food. Yeah, I'm going to go for the Lily's Kitchen, I think, the puppy chicken and salmon. Yeah, don't change it all over at once, will you? No, you do 90%, don't you? Like 90 of the one you've got, 10 of the other, and then you change it, don't you, over 9 days? Over 2 or 3 days, yeah, that's what I would do. So that's what we're going to do. Actually, Millie's situation, I mean, how about telling us a little bit about what it was like before you started this? Because actually what she's doing is a fairly good example of starting at the point which works and gradually moving away from it. Okay, she has to wake in the night and she gets up early in the morning, but it's going in the right direction, if you see what I mean. Be interesting to see what tonight's experiment does. Tell us what's happening to begin with, though. What do you mean, sorry? Well, when you first say when you was about 8 weeks, 10 weeks old, what actually got you feeling so desperate when we got in touch? Just because he was waking up like twice in the night barking, and we were having to go and lay on our hard wooden floor for about 15 minutes twice a night. And my partner, he works in London, so he's up at 6 anyway, so we only need an extra 45 minutes in bed, then it's all fine. But no, it was just getting to the point. It wasn't bad, we were just absolutely shattered because we were obviously going to comfort him on the hard wooden floor. Well, what you did, you sort of, if you like, gave in. You gave him what he wanted and needed, which you've done, and you're moving away from it now. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've done that with all mine, and it's always worked.
It doesn't take long once they get a little bit bigger to teach them that they don't go on the bed anymore.
Yeah, no, definitely. And he is a lot better. The problem we find though is he loves to sleep in the evening from about 8:30. So
That's the pattern, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the
8:30
pattern.
until 5 is actually quite a long time to sleep. So, but we can't
Like
keep him up.
Julio's little dog, it's the same really. Sleeps all evening, and then so half their night's already gone, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing about it is with dogs, I mean, if they were strays or street dogs or wild dogs, their most wakeful times when I think when they do most of their hunting and they're alive is probably dawn and dusk. There's a word for it, which I've forgotten now. So, you know, it's natural for animals to wake up at 5.
Yeah,
I wonder how they'll be in the winter when it's dark.
We did try last night because we normally go for a walk at 6, but our schedule just didn't allow it. So we took him for a walk at 8. So he didn't actually end up having his evening nap until 9:30, and it didn't really make a difference. There's no point us changing his routine and keeping him up if it's not going to make a difference. If he wants to go to sleep, I let him go to sleep.
Hi, Donna.
Just a quick question. Rolo, my puppy, he's a Cocker Spaniel, and he is he's 9 weeks, so he's real little and still. How many hours sleep a day should he be having at his age?
Well, they should have a lot of sleep, and they normally do, but it's not all in one go. It's lots and lots of naps, isn't it? Don't you feel he's not getting enough sleep?
Well, my son is 13, and my son's autistic and ADHD, and so my son's very lively, and he just constantly wants to be cuddling him and picking him up and playing with him.
I have a horrible feeling if you don't let sleeping dogs lie when they're asleep. If you don't leave, if he interferes with him when he's in his bed or asleep, eventually he might snap. As he gets bigger, I think he will. I don't know if there's any way you can teach your son that when Puppy has a place somewhere, maybe a pen with a bed in it or whatever, that really that your little boy just doesn't go in.
I have,
like, you know, we've got our bubbles with the social distancing. The dog has a bubble that he should not go in. I don't know, because you know he will. And the thing is, if he's sleep deprived, he's going to be even more grumpy. He will end up by growling and telling your little boy, go away, and he won't do it, and he'll bite you.
I have said that to him a few times, and I've actually got in contact with a company in Northamptonshire called Dogs for Good, and they do like therapy with the dog and my son. So that's something that we're exploring, and I do keep on saying, you know, you do need to make sure that you just leave him to sleep, because otherwise he'll also get used to only sleeping in short spells, and then he may not actually sleep through the night, because if he's constantly getting used to being woken up,
it's not good, really. It's not good for him. I know it's really difficult with your little boy, but maybe just if you really go over and over it, every time Puppy's asleep, he mustn't be woken.
Yeah,
and he does need an area that is his, where he can a refuge, if you like.
He does have that. He has like it's not a crate, it's like a box, a comfortable box, and I've made it all cozy for him with a pillow.
But that is where your little boy does understand he must leave him, mustn't
absolutely
go there.
He doesn't touch him at all when he's in there. But he only goes in there at night, and that's next to my bed in my bedroom.
All right, so it's not in the living area. He needs somewhere in the living area that he can go to escape, really, doesn't he?
Yes.
That your little boy knows that he doesn't go to.
Well, he's got like a big cushion, but he doesn't actually, it's not enclosed. He's got like a big dog bed. But I think what I'll do is I'm going to bring the crate in from outside, and then that can be a
You've got a puppy pen. Maybe you've got a pen. Because
I haven't got a pen.
But you could. It's a very useful thing to have. It's got a door. He can walk in and out. You can shut the door, and then you can sort of teach your little boy, right, don't go in there. You can put all the puppy's toys in there, and you can get him to like it by feeding him in there, and, you know, giving him fun things.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't just. I'm looking ahead. You know, it's a cockapoo. You say
a cocker spaniel.
Even worse, or better, I should say. But as a behaviourist, I've been to literally thousands of dogs, and if somebody phones me saying they've got a cocker spaniel, because I only go to dogs that have problems, I know 9 times out of 10, the problem the Cocker Spaniel is going to have is going to be resource guarding or guarding their own personal space. It's going to be aggression when they're, you know, so because I would say with the Cocker Spaniel, probably more than quite a lot of breeds, you need to be a little bit careful.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not saying 9 out of 10 Cocker Spaniels do this. I only see the ones that are problems. So 9 out of, I'd say a big percentage of the ones that are problems do guard resources, guard their person. He might end up by guarding his bed, especially if you know it's invaded.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I'm going to get that right in, and I think I'll get a pen as well.
Just a quick tip on the pens. I don't know about your dog, but my dog is really intelligent and has learned how to climb the...
Oh, mine did too.
I have a video I can send you guys, but so first we had the puppy pen that kind of was in the zigzag as a line, fencing off like an area on our lanai in our backyard that was like safe and could be like a good big area for him.
How high is it? How high is it? How high is it?
I think 36 inches.
About a meter, 30 foot, yeah.
And he learned if he jumps on it, it'll fall over. So then we put it in a circle, and then he learned he can't push that over, but he learned he could climb up the wire and then jump over. And then he ended up injuring his leg doing a jump one day, and he got a sprain. So
you can get pens, or you can get tops for them.
We just got a taller pen, and so far he hasn't been able to get out of the taller pen. That's 42 inches. So, but he's growing really fast. But I think maybe it's like kind of a
feet are bigger. They won't get trapped, will they?
Well, these are his feet size right now. 11 years old.
Huge. That's big. Yeah. Yeah. As I say, you can get covers for them. You know, lids. I think they're like a plastic sheeting stuff which you hook on round. But yes,
that's a good idea. I'll get one of those.
Yes. Where would you? Let's. I don't know how we can make this most useful. This chat, but I think it may be if we look back with each of us, what you feel does work. If we can find that point of what is actually working, which might mean a few. Might be breaking a few of your actual codes of what you want, just so that you can establish something that is going well, and then you can slowly move away from it, if you see what I mean. I don't know, Dominique, do you feel that what you're doing is working well now?
She's very similar to one of the guys who just spoke a moment ago about when we sleep with her, she's absolutely fine. So you're right, she does like the security. In the beginning, we had her in the bedroom, and we gradually moved her away. But we did that really gradually over a couple of weeks. So she's 20 weeks now. We got her at 10 weeks.
Yes.
I
wouldn't call a couple of weeks very gradually, personally.
All right.
No.
How long do you think it takes? So Millie, you said that you did it 2 nights on the bed, then 2 nighs on the floor. How long?
Can't say, but it's difficult to say. It's the two things. It's taking time and breaking it down into the small enough increments. I mean, maybe for me, Millie's maybe going a bit too far from on the floor and on the bed. I mean, that might be a bigger leap, but she'll find out tonight. But I think, you know, it's probably along the lines of, okay, if the dog will be okay in the crate next to the bed, or her bed next to the bed to begin with, up until the morning break, and after that, go to sleep again. That might be a good time to share a bed with, so at least some of the time isn't on the bed. Now, once you've established that, then of course, little by little, and what could you do next? You could make the time you wake her up, if you're going to preempt it, a little bit later, so she's spending less time on your bed. Do you see? And then maybe try just putting her back in the crate again for 10 minutes and then letting her on your bed. You know, maybe this isn't a very good example, but I think it's a question of breaking it down into tiny increments, and on each step getting it so that she's happy before pushing it on to the next step. It's easy to talk about. It doesn't always work out like that, but in everybody's case,
might have a terrible shock finally moved out.
But the thing is, once once you've gone to the dog barking and crying for ages, it's like you've pushed it much too far.
Oh no, we don't let her cry.
No,
Not at
no.
all. But
I'm glad you said that though, because I think that it's you know, you get so much conflicting information, and some people say you've got to just let your dog cry, otherwise you'll be woken up at 4 o'clock every single morning. So it's reassuring to know that actually not letting the dog cry and being there for the dog is the right thing to do.
Definitely. If it's a difference between old-fashioned methods and modern methods, really, a bit like with children.
Yeah.
Nowadays, any modern behaviourist, anybody or modern trainer is never going to say leave the dog to cry.
Yeah.
But a lot of people might say, oh, the dog shouldn't go in your bed. But a huge percentage of people, I think some surveys said something like 70% of people had shared their beds with their dogs, not all the time, but at times.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's the big taboo that people get a puppy and they think, well, I must do this right.
Yeah.
Everybody says I mustn't have my dog in my bed, and in a way they're just opening themselves up to some really bad nights.
Well,
but
what seems
like
to be
in
working?
Julio's case, his puppy doesn't let him sleep.
Yeah.
I can sleep through anything. My dogs lie on my bed, and if they kick me, they kick me. I sleep through it.
Well, what seems to be working for us is that I go to bed normally about 10:30. I take Rolo up with me. He gets into bed with me for a cuddle for about 15 minutes. And then I put him into his box, which is next to me. And he's quite content with going in there then.
Really?
Because he's had a cuddle with me in the bed first, and we've had a little bit of a play. And then he's tired enough then to want to get into his bed.
And what time is that?
About between 10:30 and 11.
Right, okay.
And then he will go to sleep. I turn the light off, and it's almost like he knows that once the light goes off, that's it, that's sleep time. And the door's left open, but he stays in there and he goes to sleep. And then he'll wake.
Yeah.
And then he'll wake up.
So when he does wake up, then
he comes out of the box and he scrapes on the side of the bed and whines.
Okay.
So it's almost like he's saying to me, I need a wee. Is it what he's saying? I need a wee or I need a cuddle, one or the other.
So have you tried not giving him the wee and having the cuddle instead?
I haven't, no, because
it might be an idea, because you know that will save you another trip down 3 flights of stairs, won't it?
But I just think because he's only 9 weeks at the moment,
yeah,
he might be a bit young, and that he may need that wee. And actually, when I've put him down outside in the garden for that wee, he's literally done the wee straight away.
Oh right, yeah. Well, he's just ever so young. I think you've just got to. I mean, I think you're all doing really well, really. I think maybe expectations are very high.
Yeah, I think that you can't prepare yourself for it. I think it's one of those things that everybody says it's hard when you get a puppy, but nobody ever really knows how hard it's going to be.
I think if you know that you can expect to wake 2 or 3 times, if you expect to wake 2 or 3 times in the night, and that maybe you would forget about all these taboos and cuddle the dog if you have it in bed and then work away from there. That tends to work best. But it doesn't work for everybody because you've got perhaps a couple and one of them doesn't want the dog in the bed with them, or like Julio says, he doesn't lie still and you can't sleep. There's not one size fits all, but I just think it's a question of finding what works. What does work, forgetting about what other people say and what you think's the right thing, and work out from there, Millie.
Hello, one thing I'd just like to say, just to be a bit positive, I would say that I've definitely learned not to compare like your dog to other dogs, because we might all be upset that our dogs aren't sleeping through the night, but I've got friends whose dogs sleep perfectly through the night, but they poo on the floor all the time. So you've got to think that there's always going to be something that your pup might not be as good at, but there will be other things that they'll be better at. So I just wanted to put a bit of positivity out there.
Well, in another 3 months, you'll be looking back on it and thinking, what were we worried about? But it is a difficult one. There's no one size really. If there was, I would say my things are start with whatever is working. Obviously, you may be making a few compromises, But, you know, if you have a strong feeling about something, okay, you have, because it's got to work for you. So you start where it works for you and then gradually work away from that. So it means, to begin with, do whatever it is that takes for you to get a reasonable night's sleep. And I think that's because once you've had a good night's sleep, you're in a whole lot better state of mind, aren't you, for coping with what other things puppy throws at you the next day. That's the first thing. And the other thing I would say is get into the habit of preempting the morning waking up in the night. Because if this is going to be fairly regular, then you, at every other time of day, you want the puppy to tell you when he wants to go to the toilet. But you don't want him to start thinking, I'm getting bored now. If I bark or whatever it is, scratch, I'm going to be taken out. So in the night, really, you want him, if you preempt it, I think you're much more likely to get back to sleep again. And then you have a bit more control and you can move it a bit further forward. The other thing, of course, is as these dogs all seem to wake up shortly after dawn, these puppies, what about making the room dark? Really dark.
So I've tried that. I've blacked, so Olaf's puppy pen is, or a puppy crate is in the family room, which is connected to the kitchen. And so I've every night before he goes to bed, I completely shut out all the blinds and all the curtains, all the lights are off. And I've like put towels to cover any cracks at the bottom. So it's like completely dark and he still wakes up.
He hears the birds, I guess, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's something.
Yes, you can't fool them, can you?
No, but I did try that.
Yeah, we've also got really dark rooms and it hasn't worked for us either. I
guess they must hear birds. They know when it's dawn, don't they?
We do live on a busy road though as well, so I don't know if maybe at like 5 all the cars get going and, like you say, the birds are singing.
Have you tried the calming dog music? If you've got Alexa or something like that, that you could do calm music for calm dogs. I think that it's very soft, classical, very repetitive, very calm stuff. I believe reggae is good for it as well, but if you have something continuous and boring, it's sort of background noise to burn, maybe that might just be worth a go to when you've taken puppy out and you come back and you want to get a few more hours. It might be worth just putting something like that on very quietly. They've done quite a lot of experiments with this to get the right sort of music that does make dogs settle. They've done it in kennels where they've put fast music on or even very varied music on, and the dogs bark, and you've got this very, very calm, slow, mostly classical type stuff, and the dogs settle. So maybe something like that would be worth experimenting. It might work with some dogs, really.
We've tried that in the morning. It doesn't work in the morning, but I would say give it a go because it really helps when we're out. We've put it on when we've gone out, and before when we were going out and listening to him, he was crying for a lot of the time that we were out, whereas today I left him with music, and I think my partner said he cried for like 7 minutes and then he was fine for an hour. So I would say music works definitely when we're out. It doesn't work in the morning for us, but obviously try it because it does work somewhere, because it works for him when we're not there.
It's worth a go, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We just do YouTube white noise for dogs, and there's like 10 hours of it, and we put it on.
What do you play it on?
On our TV, that's the only thing. We haven't got an Alexa or a Dot. We just have to leave it on our TV, which is quite expensive. So I have asked a few friends and they said they do the radio. So I'm just going to buy like a cheap battery radio from Amazon, I think, and start.
You don't want to do Classic FM. That's the only thing. Because Classic FM has, it has adverts, it keeps breaking, it might have one bit of slow music, and it has a trumpet voluntary, people talking, it's got to be something on, if you're a cheap old CD player or something, and you put on continuous, it's on very, very slow classical piano music or something. Or white noise, I'm sure probably a Amazon Dot doesn't cost much. Oh, it's the Amazon Prime you've got to pay for, isn't it?
Yeah, I've heard. I've personally never listened to Radio 2 that much, but among puppy mums and dog mums, Radio 2 seems to be a favourite. I'm not sure what they do.
Well, certainly, as far as making a puppy sleepy, I think they've done quite a lot of research on that. Maybe there's like when they're out, what it does, it makes the puppy think he's got some company, but it maybe not necessarily most peaceful thing for sleep. I don't know. So it's worth a go. Yeah. Oh, look at this. That's very.
So can I
big.
just ask a quick question? Millie, did you say that it was white noise for dogs on YouTube?
Yeah, I just literally typed in white noise for dogs, and the background's like half blue, and then it's got a dog like sleeping on across the picture, and it's 10 hours long.
Okay.
It sounds like the ocean.
Okay.
And that really helps when we're out. So
I reckon that's a great idea. Yeah, it's almost worth the price of the doing it on television, because it's not going to be forever, is it?
No, yeah, that's what my partner said. He said he'd happily pay for the TV to be on if the pup's happy.
Well, you don't have to put it on until 3 in the morning or whatever time it is you get up, do you? So it's not all night, is it?
Oh, we don't play it at night. We only play it when we're out.
Oh, right, but I mean, people who do it,
yeah,
you don't have to have it on. It's probably a thing to do once you've had that early morning break, and puppy won't go to sleep again.
Yeah.
What about you, Jodie? Have you got any other things to say or contribute, do you think?
Well, we've played the soothing puppy music on the Google.
Oh yeah.
And literally just ask Google just to play soothing dog music, and it gets it from somewhere. I'm not sure that it was that successful in the morning. But again, I think a lot of the time I'm just more focused on I need to get some sleep, which is why I'm always like, I'm just going to lay on the sofa. So I think I'm going to carry on doing a bit of that. I feel reassured that I'm not going to have to do that for the rest of my life, because I think that was my worry, that
let's
forever.
look at how you can break away from it. Let's look at how you can break away from it. And the reason you don't want him on your bed is because your bed's too high. Is that right?
Yeah, he's only little and the bed's too high, and obviously he's top heavy because he's a Frenchie.
If, for instance, your bed was low, would you have him on your bed?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I would. I would be a little bit worried about him maybe doing a wee. But it's mainly it's the safety.
That it would be perhaps possible to, maybe it's a bit silly, have a harness and a lead and some hooked onto something so that he couldn't jump off or fall off. But but the sofa, if you're okay sleeping on the sofa, so that's okay. Him sleeping with you on the sofa is actually what is working, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would say definitely keep doing that for a week or two. So we're thinking in weeks here. We're not thinking in single days. Yeah. And then maybe before, did you say, I'm sorry, I've forgotten now, that before he has his, is it a boy or a girl?
A boy.
Before he wakes up for his morning pee in the middle of the night, is he he's in his own bed then, or in the crate then, is he?
So he sleeps in the crate downstairs.
Yes. And are you on the sofa at that stage?
No, I'm upstairs in bed.
So you only come down when you hear him?
Yeah.
Okay, and is he awake for a long time?
I don't think so, but I guess it's as long as it takes for him sort of crying to wake me up. I mean, I get up more or less as soon as I hear him crying. I don't sort of wait it out and think, oh, I won't go down. I do think, oh no, I'll go down straight away because he probably needs to go to the loo. But in reality, I'm not really sure how long it takes for him to wake me up.
But then you go on the sofa after that.
So we go straight out in the garden. If it's really early, I try not to really sort of speak to him or interact with him.
Yeah.
I just sort of open the door. We go out in the garden. Sometimes, because of the layout on my garden, sometimes he won't go out unless I come out with him.
Yes.
Other times he's happy just to run off down the garden and go to the toilet, and then literally straight back in.
Yes.
And he goes over to the sofa. He's like, oh, sofa time.
So that works okay, doesn't it?
And literally I sit on the sofa, he sits on my lap. I sort of end up swinging my legs onto the sofa, and then we both fall asleep.
Well, you might, yes, yeah. Okay, so at least he's got half the night. One thing you could think of is preempting it and coming down first, and don't wait for him to wake up.
Yeah.
Then make yourself comfortable on the sofa. Prepare it before you go to bed, so you actually are saying to yourself, not I'm going to have to sleep on the sofa. That's going to be something you built into your life for a little while.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. The other thing, something you touched on as well, it's really important to make your trip outside the most boring thing there is. I mean, you know, you do not want to talk to Puppy, you don't want to cuddle him, you don't want to be nice to him. I would say in this occasion, you don't even say good dog or feed him when he goes to the toilet outside. I think you make it the most boring thing you possibly can in the middle of the night.
Yeah. I have to say, I struggle to see. It's so bright outside. I feel like I'm in that, trying to find some sunglasses before I get out there and hope the neighbours don't see me.
Why is it so bright?
I think it's just the transition, isn't it? From my bedroom is, extremely dark, and the transition into the garden sometimes a bit much at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Really, I wouldn't have him running down the garden either. That sounds a little bit wakeful, doesn't it? Couldn't you put a lead on him? And also go out, of course, you don't want to go out with him, do you? I would go out with him.
Okay. So it's normally about whether or not he's happy to go out. So you open the door, and sometimes he goes straight out and goes to the toilet, and other times he just sort of sits there waiting and says, like, almost like, you need to come with me.
Yes. I have to say, with mine, I've always gone out with them, even if it's raining.
Yeah, I think if I wake him up, then that would probably be, I would just pick him up, because when he goes to the toilet at 12:30 at night, he's sleepy at that point. You normally wake him up, he looks at you with that sort of face that says, I don't want to go outside. And he has to be pretty much, carried out there, popped on the grass, and then eventually he will do a wee and he comes back in.
That might be the thing to do in the night then. If you can preempt it, don't wait till he's too thoroughly awake.
Yeah.
Do that, and you might get him to go to sleep again. He might actually go back into his bed.
Back to bed.
Sleep on the sofa. I think you got it. Yeah. Sorry, Donna, you wanted to say something. I'll have a wine as well, please.
It's
nice.
Me. I said mine. One thing that I have just recently started doing is when I put him back into his bed after he's had his wee, is I just have one treat, one of his tiny little kibble biscuits. And when he's going back into his bed, I give it to him to say, good boy. And then he goes back into his bed, and it's almost like he's getting rewarded for going back into his bed again.
That is great, as long as he doesn't think to himself, well, I rather like getting up in the night because it means it ends in a treat.
Yes.
But maybe he hasn't worked that out. But then you can leave him after that, can you?
Yeah. Then I leave him.
Well, that works, doesn't it? As I say, you do what works. You find out what works.
Yeah.
What works, and even if you've got to make some compromises, and then gradually move away from it to what you actually want.
He will go back to sleep for about an hour and a half after he goes back into his bed after his wee.
And then he comes and has a cuddle.
And then comes into bed with me and has a cuddle, yeah.
That seems to work out well, doesn't that? Isn't that good?
Yeah. And it's only me in the bed, so it's not as if I have to share it with anybody other than him. And he gives the most amazing cuddles, so I'm happy.
So nobody will tell him to get out.
No.
So I have a quick question on this. So usually when Olaf goes out, because he has before had some accidents inside, when he does go outside on the grass, I usually do praise him and tell him he's a good boy and give him a treat when we get back inside. And then I usually do play with him a little because he has so much energy after going outside, and he's just
the problem is, I think I feel that if you play with him and he has if you play, that is going to, I would say, arouse him and stir him up more. I think. I may be wrong, because as I say, every dog's different. You can't, but I would do everything to keep it as calm and boring as you possibly can. And that is the same thing in the run up to bedtime. I go to people who take their puppies out for a walk last thing, or they play a lot of games thinking they're going to tire them out, but actually they don't. They hype them up. And once they've got hyped up, then it's, then it got to get rid of it again. It's almost like getting up towards bedtime. It's a wind down. I try it. I really think, just give it a go. Because it does sound as if he's very wakeful and playful at all the wrong times. I mean, the
Yes.
other puppies aren't that either. They're not wanting to play. All they want to do is get into your bed and cuddle. Isn't that right? Whereas he's wanting to play.
Well, so I've never let him sleep in my room or in my bed, just because he's gonna get to be about 80 pounds when he's grown, and I'm trying to train him from a puppy to be crate trained.
Okay.
This is my first dog, and I really went back and forth about crate training, and so I'm really trying to stick with it. I love cuddle. Well, so and then sometimes in the morning when I'm completely exhausted, I'll put him back in his crate, or if he went both pee and poo, I'll let him be out and I'll sleep on the couch for another hour or two, just like with him.
Right.
But then like I'm exhausted. It's not like a good rest on the couch. Just like
Do you live by yourself?
No, I don't. I live with one other person.
So you share your bed?
Yes.
I wonder, do you feel your nights aren't good enough that you need to get more sleep?
Yes. For the most part, it's been me waking up with Olaf in the morning, but we had a conversation about how exhausted I am. And this past week, we just started taking shifts. So the night before, we'll say, okay, are you going to wake up with Olaf, or am I going to wake up with Olaf? And that's how.
If you were going to be down on the sofa anyway, is there anything that would work if you forget about, oh, you don't want him in a bed or when he gets big, because you wouldn't have to anyway, because anything you do now doesn't have to last forever. You can change it. You can do anything else, you don't do it suddenly. I mean, what would work if you started off, so at bedtime, he goes to bed what time?
Like 10 or 11.
And what is it? I've forgotten. What do you do in the evening with him?
Usually play with him. Well, so we go on a walk. We'll play with his toys. Usually we'll put something on the television and like try and just sit with him and pet him.
And that's what time?
Around like, we start that around like 8 or 9 after we've finished.
I think you're pumping him up. I honestly think you're thinking to yourself, right, if I do all this physical stuff with him, I'm going to tire him out and he's going to be ready for bed. What time do you give him his last food?
At 6 o'clock, 6 p.m.
Okay. Well, I would say if you do things with him which bring him down, you're hyping him up, I think. When you feed him his last meal, instead of giving it in a bowl, scatter feed him. Say if you've got grass outside, do it there. Because if he is hunting and fishing for his food, it'll take 10, 15, 20 minutes making sure he's got the whole thing. Now that is a thing. Anything to do with chewing or hunting or foraging helps to calm a dog. So in a way, instead of frantically going through his bowl, he's having to work for it. That was the first thing I'd do. Then I'd see what other things I could do that are really peaceful. I mean, another thing, instead of going for a walk and trying to tire him out, take him out somewhere quiet, maybe somewhere open, put him on a long line if you don't like to let him off lead, and stand about and let him sniff, let him forage, let him do dog things, no throwing ball, no loads of walk, anything which is going to actually calm him down. That's what I would do. And I'd be willing to bet you that if you could do that for a few nights, you'd notice a huge difference. Don't play in the night. You're not waking up to have games. You know, if it means that you cuddle him on the sofa, that's fine. Cuddle him on the sofa. It doesn't really matter. He's not going to be there for the rest of ever. As he gets bigger, you can encourage him down. But it seems to me that your first thing is going to be you have to have a calm dog before you can do anything. Because while he's playful and wakeful and all that at all the wrong hours, you can't do anything. So I would say start by getting him calm. And if part of that might just mean you lie on the sofa and cuddle him. But it honestly doesn't have to last forever. You're downstairs anyway. So I would say that when you try to preempt that first time when he wakes up, if you can think when it might be, come down without being called. Take him out, make it the most boring thing on this earth, so that it's no big treat you coming down. Then I would say just go and lie on the sofa, and if he wants to cuddle with you, fine, go back to sleep.
So in the morning, I should not give him a treat when he goes potty outside?
Well, every other time I would, but I wouldn't at that time in the morning, no. Because he's at an age now he probably could hold it. And what's happening is everything you do too many times becomes a habit. It's part of his routine now. You're going to have to break the habit. So it'll actually take a little while to do that. He's expecting games in the evening, expecting games in the middle of the night, you know. So I would do all, you might not be able to stop it immediately, but wind it down. I'm really interested to hear how it goes in a couple of weeks. I think you might be surprised.
I've been taking notes, by the way.
This is being recorded anyway, so you can play it back if you want. Yeah, try that. Keep him calm as possibly you can. Another thing which will calm him down, give him a Kong. You've got wine, I've got a Kong.
I usually fill it with peanut butter when like I need to get something done and can't pay attention to him, or I'm going to put the peanut butter, I put it in the freezer.
Brilliant. Right. Well, in the evening, instead of playing games with him, save some of his tea, mix it with a bit of water or perhaps with peanut butter. Don't make it too much peanut butter. Just use peanut butter for glue, if you like. Then he can sit and spend some time working at getting, say at 7 o'clock, leave a little bit of his tea, so that he can do that. That'll help tire him out as well.
Sorry, are you saying tea?
Pardon?
Are you saying?
No, his last meal, I mean, whatever.
Oh, okay. So
okay.
put
Save some of his last meal and let him work for it.
Okay, so you mix his food with water and peanut butter, and then you put that.
All I say is, if you just put dry food in there, do you feed him with dry food?
Yes, dry food.
If you just put food, it would just fall out, wouldn't it? You need something to bind it with. So either wet dog food or maybe a little bit of peanut butter.
I use yogurt or cream cheese.
Pardon? Or cream cheese, yes,
he loves it.
Yeah,
or
natural yogurt.
Something like that. Something down. If you put it in the freezer, yogurt's a really good one, natural yogurt. Put it in the freezer and then it's really hard work for him. That, instead of hyping him up with playing games and tugging and throwing balls and taking him for exercise and walks, these things, chewing, that helps calm him down. I would say that will make a huge difference to you.
Great, thank you so much.
And then when you've done all these things, try to preempt him when he wakes up, and then get yourself nice and comfortable on the sofa, plan it in advance, so it's not like you're doing it because you got no choice. You do it, make yourself comfortable and have a nice rest of the night and cuddle him if you must. And then when you establish that, when that is working really well, start to break away from it very slowly.
Well, so if he wakes up at 1:30 and then again at 4:30 and 5:30, should I just ignore the 1:30 cries and then at like 4:30?
Does he normally wake at 1:30? He does.
Probably every other night.
I think you'll find if you don't get him so wound up, he will. What happens is every time he gets excited or anything like, his body fills with adrenaline, and that takes a long time to go away. And so you've spent the evening filling his brain with adrenaline, which takes hours to go away. Okay, so he's waking if you can manage not to do that, he probably after a little while won't even wake at 2. Especially if you make it especially boring. It's going to be hard. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. So should I still keep his food at 8, cut off water and playtime feed him at 6, cut off water and playtime at 8, and then put him in his crate?
I would say he only wants water, because one of the things dogs do when they're aroused and excited is to drink. Now, if you have him calm, he's not going to want to drink particularly. Really, dogs do need to have access to water most of the time. I would say that maybe, yeah, he wouldn't, if he settles, he won't want to drink. His drinking is all part of him being too aroused, you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I think anyway, but I don't know. Do you feel we've done something useful here?
Yeah,
definitely.
As you know, the thing about the night times, as we've sort of branched out into looking at one or two other things, like dogs getting too excited and the effect of that, it is part of a big picture. everything is part of a much bigger picture, and it's very hard really just to isolate one when actually there are other things you could be doing in the dog's life which would help your night times. Do you see? So that, just to consider, that is the point of having the one-to-one, because if you have an hour when you go through the whole of the puppy's life, you find that it's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. There's lots of little bits which, when you get them in, they all affect each other. And then you know what I'm saying? I mean, what we do, if it was a puppy one, we do everything. We do go through toilet training, all the things about nighttime, all the things about getting him being left alone, generally getting puppy left alone, all the nipping, biting stuff, food to feed them on, the best way to feed them, best enrichment, things about socialization, you know, loads and loads of things, and they all fit together. So it really is worth considering. I mean, I'm not trying to do a sales thing here. I'm just saying, from the point of view of puppies having it, for you having a good time at night, it isn't only nighttime that actually, we're talking about that now, but there are other things involved, which one of which we did touch on, which is general arousal and during the day having puppy, the right sort of enrichment and things.
Can I just ask one question before we go?
Yeah.
My puppy, he's sleeping at the moment, and he's been sleeping probably the whole time that we've been on this call. And it's obviously 7:30. So he's been sleeping from 6:30 until, well, 25 to 8. My concern is that he's getting so much sleep now that actually he's not going to want to sleep in the night. And I don't want to wake him, because I know that you shouldn't wake a sleeping puppy. But this is really early for him to be sleeping.
But your puppies probably need sleep, because you've got little boys been waking him too much. And in fact, he probably would be okay. But so I think your case is a bit different.
Right.
But if you're worried, well, there's no, you can go and do things with him. You can perhaps go, as I say, scatter some food outside for him.
Yeah.
Go and stand around and let him, you know, there's lots of peaceful things you can do without getting him stirred up, aren't there?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Is there anything else anybody would like to talk about? No?
Are we going to do another one of these?
Yes, we'll find a different topic. At the moment, this sleeping nighttime topic has come up so much that, you know, we're sort of doing a lot of it. But we'll find another one. I think, I wonder what, we know that all the thing about biting is always a big one.
Yeah.
Settling down would be a nice one.
Pardon?
Settling down.
I think we need a magic wand for
all the time we had this call, Eric was trying to jump and bite me.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's barking because I put him in his pen.
Yes, yeah. Well, maybe we'll have a, we maybe have another chat at another time, Julia. Okay, we'll have a chat. Okay, and see what we can do.
He recommended some good chewy things for us. So like a wood tree chew. Yak
have
you seen them? They're brilliant. This is a very small one.
It helps him settle, so I would really try chewy.
This is a piece of tree root. It's special stuff you get from Amazon. It starts big, that's been chewed by many dogs, but they love it, and it doesn't splinter. It's special stuff. And then we've also got yak milk.
Oh yeah, Frankie loves those.
Yeah.
Yak milk, and then what was the? Do you have a link to
I've got mine. Hang on a minute. I'm going to show you a big one, if I can find it.
Also, as well, the wood one really saved our skirting boards and chair legs, so double bonus.
If you have a big dog, that's what it looks like.
My goodness.
And you can get small ones, but this one was quite big, and it's been chewed by so many dogs I've visited, but keep them sort of quiet and happy so we can talk. So it's got down to that size, but that'd be a puppy size. If you look on Amazon for wood dog chews, I think these are called Anko root, but you'll see if you just put wood dog chews.
Okay.
And they almost, the thing also is, if you have things like that, don't leave them about all the time, because they're quite expensive and they get lost. But if you keep them for special, then you've got something, you know, like, I'm sure perhaps Julio, it's Edith, is it your dog? Your puppy?
Is it what?
Your puppy's name, Edith, is it?
Eric.
Oh, Eric.
Eric.
Awful boy. I knew it began with E and it was short. Yes, maybe try one of these.
Yeah, his yak he's not using so much anymore. Maybe I need to change to one
Take
of
the
those.
yak away and change something like that and then swap back when he gets tired of that.
I've been getting some natural ones like chicken legs and
Yes.
cow ears and
Yes.
so on, but it lasts 5 minutes.
We have deer antlers as well. Frankie really
we
loves
stopped
them.
now with the adult teeth because we read a lot of horror stories and I thought I better avoid it.
Yes, the trouble is, you know, if you read all these things, I think there's probably nothing you can give your dog.
Yeah, I remember that link you put on. Everything is wrong.
Yeah, in the end, there's nothing your dog can eat. Yeah. Anyway,
Quick question about that root is, so Olaf likes to eat things, pretty much everything. Is it okay if he ingests the root chew?
well, it doesn't splinter. It's so hard. It's not hard enough, Julio, to break teeth, but it is so hard that nothing comes. I mean, the bits which have come off, it's just because dogs have chewed so much. It's tiny, tiny little bits, and it's when it comes off, it's not splintery. You know, it couldn't possibly harm the dog. No.
So if he did eat it, it would be okay.
But he couldn't eat it. But yes, if he could, it would be
But
okay.
I wouldn't put it past Olaf. Olaf has dug out roots of trees in our backyard.
These are special trees, special roots. They're not just ordinary roots. But there's something not quite as brittle as something like a reindeer antler. So far as breaking teeth are concerned, it's not. But you've got to give them something to chew because chewing is the thing that calms them down. There we are. Yeah, Derek. Pardon?
It's been very helpful, so thank you.
Hopefully, I wish I had a magic wand that was one size, but I just think as principle, find what works. You need a good night's sleep. Find what works and work your what
This
works. For you.
works. This works.
And the wine helps, doesn't it? Shame you can't give some to the puppy. Okay, is that okay? Are you okay, Jodie? You haven't got anything, you've been quite quiet, you're okay?
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm going to look forward to getting up at 3:30 tomorrow off my own back. Can't
Let's have a
wait.
little bit of sleep. What's your son's name, Julio?
Sorry, what was that?
What's your little boy's name?
Frank.
Frank?
Yeah.
Hello, Frank.
Hello.
How old are you?
6.
Do you love Eric?
Yes.
Does Eric like you?
Especially when he's tired and he's cute and sleeping. Yes.
You always hear exactly the right thing from children, don't you? So, okay, nice to talk to you all, really lovely. We'll do it again, we'll find another topic. Just the right number of people, I think, because, you know, we can all talk and, you know, it's not overwhelming. Okay?
That's great.
Thanks
very much.
Add to the thing as you go by in a few
Thank
days'
you.
time, just if there's any change and, you know, and any other ideas. Okay?
Okay.
Lovely. Thanks.
Bye-bye then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.